Healthy obesity. It's almost like saying you can drive with the pedal to the metal and an empty gas tank at the same time. Deep down, you know something's going to go wrong. I'm Carol, a woman who spent her entire life trying to balance a love for chocolate with the dread of buying new clothes. The question is simple. Can you really be obese and healthy? Are we confusing self-esteem with ignoring a problem that could turn into a ticking time bomb? Just imagine it's like watching a series you love, like Breaking Bad. At first, everything seems under control until it isn't anymore. The body is the same way. Today, a little extra fat might not seem like a big deal, but what about tomorrow? Obesity isn't just about aesthetics or fitting into jeans from years ago. Health isn't measured only by the mirror. Being healthy isn't just about feeling good in your own skin. It's about ensuring that skin will sustain you for a long time. And speaking of health, before we dive deeper, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up and hit the notification bell. After all, this conversation has a long way to go, and I don't want you to lose track. Let's get serious. Would you trust your health to a mathematical formula invented almost 200 years ago? That's right. The body mass index, the famous BMI, is one of those relics we still use to measure something as complex as our bodies. But does it really make sense? Think about it. Chris Hemsworth, our Marvel Thor who drags villains across the floor, has an overweight BMI. Hugh Jackman, Wolverine himself, with all his brute strength, falls into the obese category. So, are they one step away from a heart attack? BMI lumps everyone together, completely ignoring how fat is distributed across the body. You could have ABS chiseled like Superman or a beer belly like Homer Simpson, and BMI will tell you it's all the same. Not to mention, it doesn't distinguish between muscle and fat. So if you train hard, watch out. BMI might have you thinking you're on the path to a sedentary lifestyle. Now, let's get to what really matters: waist circumference. Because while BMI might say a bodybuilder is obese, a measuring tape will tell you a different story. This measurement reveals where the dangerous fat, the visceral kind that wraps around your organs, is hiding. In the end, BMI is just a number. If it were that precise, even the Hulk would be considered obese. The real villain is visceral fat, which can be present even in those with a perfect BMI. So next time someone brings up BMI, remember that even superheroes need to look beyond the numbers. Now, let's think of excess weight like an old car, a classic, like a 1970s Cadillac. On the outside, it may look immaculate, shining as if it just rolled off the factory floor. But what happens when you pop the hood? The engine starts to sputter. Black smoke billows from the exhaust, and the internal parts are wearing down. Now, connect this to the human body. Excess weight might not seem like a big deal, especially at first. Oh, it's just a little beer belly, you might think. But the reality is that on the inside, things aren't so great. And this isn't just an aesthetic issue. We're talking about an engine that's starting to fail, organs that are becoming overburdened. In 2023, obesity already affects 1 in every 8 people in the US. Just to give you an idea, in 2006, that number was X. In other words, we're dealing with a silent epidemic that's eroding the health of millions, even if it doesn't seem all that obvious yet. And you know what's even scarier? When you look inside the body of someone who's gaining weight, the story gets a lot darker. Visceral fat, for example, starts to wrap around organs like the liver and the heart, making each heartbeat more difficult, every breath shorter. It's like that Cadillac running on dirty oil, compromising the entire system. Excess weight isn't just about a few extra pounds. It's like ignoring a mechanical issue in your car until it breaks down completely. And unfortunately, that breakdown can be final. Imagine a cake factory that suddenly starts receiving an overwhelming number of orders. At first, the bakers work hard, ramp up production, double the recipes. But the volume of orders grows so much that the kitchen becomes overwhelmed. The baker's exhausted, and the cakes start coming out burnt, underbaked, and in the worst case, even falling apart. This factory is your body, and the bakers are the adipocytes, the cells responsible for storing fat. Normally, these adipocytes know exactly how to handle fat. They multiply or grow in size as needed. But the problem starts when the amount of fat coming in is so large that the factory can no longer keep up. The fat cells swell to their limit, and some simply burst like those cakes burning in the oven. The chaos doesn't stop there. The adipocytes that survive this excessive expansion don't come out unscathed. They enter a state of chronic stress, like bakers on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And instead Instead of just storing fat, these cells start producing free radicals, toxic substances that act like vandals, breaking down important cellular structures and causing inflammation throughout the body. This situation catches the attention of the immune system, which, in an attempt to put out the fire, releases even more inflammatory substances, creating a vicious cycle of destruction. The fat that no longer fits in the adipocytes ends up being stored in organs like the liver, heart, and pancreas, literally invading their territory and causing serious health problems. What began as a simple accumulation of fat in the belly or arms turns into an internal revolt. And, as with any good rebellion, the damage isn't minor. These stressed, inflamed, and mutant adipocytes stop being just fat cells and become real villains within your body, compromising your health in ways you may never have imagined. Obesity can be like a train that's completely derailed or a party that started off well, but turned into a nightmare in the middle of the night. In the beginning, the body stores fat relatively harmlessly, but when the adipocytes, these tiny fat cells, become stressed, everything changes. It's like a party that begins to receive so many unwanted guests that the host loses control, much like the chaos Sam experiences in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What was supposed to be a relaxing day of fun turns into a series of uncontrolled events. These stressed adipocytes start to resist insulin, the hormone responsible for bringing glucose into the cells to provide energy. Imagine trying to refuel your car, but the tank refuses to accept the gas. The result? The body doesn't get the energy it needs and, counterintuitively, triggers a hunger alarm. This happens even when the tank is already full of fuel, in other words, fat. Here's the problem. Even when you eat, the alarm doesn't turn off. The body of an obese person is trapped in a destructive cycle where hunger signals aren't satisfied and satiety is never reached. It's like eating at a restaurant where the waiter never brings the right dish, so you keep ordering more, but never feel full. This hormonal confusion perpetuates hunger and keeps the body inflamed, creating a breeding ground for disease. Obesity turns into both a disease and a catalyst for other serious conditions like diabetes, heart disease, and even certain types of cancer. In the end, obesity isn't just a weight problem. It's a corrupted system that deceives the body and perpetuates a vicious cycle of hunger and inflammation, becoming one of our health's greatest enemies. Think of your body as a city constantly under attack. The inflammation caused by obesity acts like a silent war that gradually undermines the essential structures of this city. The first line of defense to give way is the blood vessels, which begin to dilate and harden like pothole-ridden streets that make traffic difficult. Over time, these main arteries, which should maintain a steady flow of blood, turn into dead ends, clogged with hardened plaques that can lead to total collapse, meaning severe cardiovascular diseases. This inflammation continues to spread until it reaches the brain, turning what should be the command center into a battlefield. The consequences? Mood swings, erratic behavior, and an increased risk of depression and anxiety. It's as if the city is under constant siege, with no time to recover between attacks. The situation worsens when we consider the liver, which becomes a fat storage depot, increasing the risk of serious diseases like cirrhosis and even cancer. Meanwhile, in the throat, excess fat causes sagging and breathing problems like sleep apnea, a condition where the city, or rather the body, literally stops functioning for moments during the night, as if the power supply were cut off. These constant attacks leave the body vulnerable to a host of diseases that together form what's known as metabolic syndrome. It's as if several parts of the city are collapsing at once. Diabetes, high triglycerides, high cholesterol, hypertension. All of this creates an environment where it's increasingly difficult for the body to defend itself and stay upright. In the end, the inflammation caused by obesity turns the body into a veritable minefield, where every misstep can trigger an explosion, a heart attack, a stroke, or something even worse. It's a war zone that unfortunately often goes unnoticed until it's too late. On the other hand, it's easy to find people who, despite being overweight, say they feel fine and have normal test results. But does that mean obesity isn't harmful to everyone? Can you really be obese and healthy at the same time? First, it's important to recognize that obesity isn't just a matter of choice. Factors like genetics, lack of access to quality food, and limited opportunities to exercise play a huge role. And yes, fat phobia phobia exists and is often disguised as concern for health. The body positivity movement is legitimate and necessary because it's about empathy and respect for the daily battles many people face with their own bodies. But speaking scientifically, being overweight with normal test results today doesn't guarantee that this will last forever. Studies show that out of every 100 obese people who start out with normal test results, only 6 remain healthy over time. Obesity may seem harmless at first, but it operates like a silent ticking time bomb. Even without apparent symptoms, obesity increases the risk of cardiovascular problems by 40% compared to people of normal weight. It's like your body is a house you just bought from a show like Love It or List It. It looks flawless on the surface, but once you start digging, you discover the foundation is full of asbestos, a hidden issue that compromises the structure and long-term health. Over the years, the damage caused by excess fat in the body begins to accumulate, and what seemed like a healthy state reveals itself to be fragile and temporary. Ultimately, the idea of healthy obesity might hold up for a while, but for most people, this state of health is fleeting. The real question isn't whether obesity is harmful to everyone, but rather that for the vast majority, the negative impacts are just a matter of time. It's a comforting illusion that can come at a high cost in the long run. After clarifying whether there is such a thing as healthy obesity, it's time to focus on the next step. We know that even with normal test results, obesity carries hidden risks that can surface over time. This means that taking care of your body goes far beyond the numbers on the scale. But how do you turn this knowledge into action? Here's the next challenge. What's the most effective exercise to burn that stubborn belly fat? Are you doing the right exercise to achieve your goals? If you still have doubts about how to start or intensify your weight loss journey, you need to watch the video, The Best Exercise to Burn Belly Fat, How to Lose Weight in a Healthy Way. Understanding obesity is just the beginning. Now it's time to take action. And since we're talking about action, I want to share something that's made all the difference in my journey: the Livy Pure supplement. It has been a great ally in my weight loss journey, with its natural ingredients and an exclusive formula for liver purification. This supplement is a real game changer, accelerating fat burning in a way that's respectful to your body and health. And the best part, if Livy Pure doesn't meet your expectations, you have a 100% money-back guarantee for 60 days. No risks. Check out the link in the first pinned comment and start your transformation to a healthier and more elegant body. Now comment below health first. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell so you don't miss any of our valuable insights, and leave your like. I'll see you in the next video.